What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Coast to Coast. This is we're picking up from last year, where we started Coast to Coast as a Instagram live, and now we have expanded it to sit down talks. And our first guest here we have Mr. Mike Murray.
So good, brother.
Okay, how are you today? Matter of fact, tell the people a little more about you. He is returning from last year. On the live, we had some technical difficulties, so we had to see our man's in person. Pull up on him, conquer movement style. How you been?
I've been great, man. That's wild. That's been a whole year ago. That's really wild. I've been good, man. Good to see you as always.
Of course.
As you know, artist, activist, promoter, mentor, photographer, author, all these things. But I gave myself a new title recently.
Okay.
Art cultivator.
Yes, I'm with it. Art cultivator.
I just think that's perfect because I just help. I feel like what I do as far as mentoring artists, as far as giving artists a stage to perform or showcase their art and everything. I feel like more than anything, I'm just here to cultivate art, in particular Black art. But everybody can get this, help and everything.
Diversity, but Black first.
You know what I'm saying? But Black first, absolutely.
Of course.
But yeah, that's my main thing. I love helping artists. I love celebrating artists. I love celebrating myself as an artist. Art cultivator just seems like it's perfect for that.
I mean, I've not heard it used before, so you the first one coining it.
Thank you.
Trademark it.
I will. Don't steal it. No one steal it, please. Thank you. I will sue you.
Yes. So of course, as you guys know, last year everything hit the fan, and with Coast to Coast, we were interviewing, catching up with some of our friends like Mike, who is very active in the community, just kind of getting their take on everything that's been going on. This year, the topic that we are focusing on main topic is how do we eliminate fear? Now, a lot of us, growing up in Black households, fear controlled the household. Fear of God, fear of your mother, fear of getting your ass whooped. There was always some level of fear. So to kick this conversation off, I want to get, what is your personal definition of fear?
My definition of fear is literally just your body trying to keep you safe. Whether that be from something that's actually trying to harm you, or whether it just be your body just being afraid to venture uncharted territory that will lead you to greatness. It's just your body just trying to keep you safe. And like, nah, Mike, I don't know about that. But sometimes it's irrational, sometimes it is rational. But yeah, that's my basic definition of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's like, that's the basic ground floor level, your body trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of things. It's like when we think about Black bodies and the traumas that we've gone through generationally, there's a lot to keep safe from.
Exactly.
but then there's our body doesn't know when to dictate between what is now better. What do we still have to be afraid of these things? Like realistically, we still don't have to bodily have that fear of getting hosed down in the street or getting whipped physically,
right.
But it's like the equivalent of that is, are we gonna get our ass beat by the police if we get stopped over?
Exactly.
So it's still, I definitely agree with that definition of fear.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, just kind of knowing that we have these things, number one, it starts from home. Like we know that fear is, like I was saying, it's a leader in the household. What was was fear a part of your upbringing? Having a Black mama, having certain things, being told what you can't do. How did fear play a role in the upbringing of young Mike?
Young Mike, hopefully I'm still young Mike out here. I would say it did not play a big role as far as like my mom trying to use it as a tactic on me. Like it was never, my household was never that house of like, if you do such and such, you can get your ass beat. Every little thing, every little misstep causing me like getting the ass whooped. But I got whipped like maybe 5 times in my life or so. And then I probably deserved it. I don't know. But more than anything, in my household, like honesty was the thing. Like my mom and Ma's relationship has always been complete and total honesty. Like we could to this day, go from debating politics because she's still a Democrat. I don't really mess with Democrats like that, but like she's still a Democrat. I don't believe in none of that stuff. We can go from debating all that to talking about a favorite TV show to even talking about like sex and all that stuff, like completely in the same sentence. Like we'll have a complete open and honest conversation every time we talk to each other. And we talk for hours on end to this day.
Yeah.
But like fear has never been used like against me. It definitely, she wanted me to be careful, but I wouldn't say she used it as a tactic to like, scare me into respecting her or anything like that.
Yeah, and clearly, I mean, first of all, I think that's beautiful because
Mm.
that is uncommon to hear in most
Yeah.
Black households. But as we can see,
Mhm.
it works. Having that base be
Yeah,
something positive like honesty, trust, love, and having the home be where that is cultivated. I think that builds for better human beings.
exactly.
We grown up going into the world. Now we know what love looks like. We know what honesty look like.
Exactly.
But then you have some people who is raised with fear. That's what they seek in relationships, and they think that's love.
Oh, I can't stand that. I hate seeing that. Like you
Mm-hmm.
see it to this. I was. This is weird, but I've been watching like the Bernie Mac show again all over again as an adult, and like he's that old school parent of like I'm gonna beat your ass if you if you talk out of line. Kids should send what is it? The whole like kids should be spoken to that you shouldn't hear from kids. What is that whole?
Was that kids should be seen, not heard?
There you go. That's it. That whole mentality, like that's my mom's family. That's her. That was her dad. My mom used to be abused like crazy by her dad and her whole family. Like that's how he maintained his power and everything in the household. And somehow, some way, my mom came out the exact opposite of that. It was like where he used to like try to beat us into submission. Like I'm just gonna love you to death, like and just give you the whole world as much as I can.
Yeah.
I don't know, everybody should have the same experience I did. And as you said, like it's worked out perfectly.
Yeah, and she started breaking those generational curses in the family.
I don't know how. Like actually to this day, like I don't know how she came out the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. But where he had her, I mean they had to do what they had to do growing up, but like my mom's been working since she was a literal child. Like literally in the fields, 10, 12 years old, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning since she was a child. Where she had that, for me, it was working was an option if I wanted extra money. But if I just wanted to help around the house, I'll get the allowance or whatever. Where he would, like I said, be here on a daily basis. Like I can count on one hand how many times I've been beaten. And that was only when she felt it truly necessary. But like, yeah, she just somehow, some way came out like I'm not gonna be none of that stuff my dad was.
Yeah.
And it's been beautiful.
That's dope. That's dope. That's a dope, experience to have coming up. And I know it leads to a lot of dope memories because you can think back, you can pass that on to your children.
Oh my God.
Just the moments of love and just how that having that difference of upbringing influences you as a parent, and it literally goes from generation to generation.
1,000%. I don't know if I'm gonna have kids, but like I got a beautiful goddaughter. If I do, but I got a beautiful goddaughter that I treat like my baby. I get to spoil her and then take her right back to her parents. But yeah, if I do have kids, it's gonna be the same way. And yeah, like you said, we talk about memories to this day. Me and her talk about my childhood and coming up underneath her all the time. We laugh about old stories all the time, even the not so good stories. Like we laugh about the hard times we had to endure together and how we came out alive. And I love her, man. I love my mom. She hopefully she sees this, but she already know how I feel.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. So with that, one thing I was hearing you saying that it was a lot of balance that was practiced in there. It's like it wasn't the absence of discipline, wasn't the absence of the ass whoopings, but they were placed where they were needed, and it wasn't overdid. There was a good balance. Yeah. So taking that mindset, how do you feel fear affects our community, and how has some of it helped us to stay safe, and how is some of it detrimental?
That's a really good question. I would say, so even though my mom didn't use fear as a tactic, she still had that sense of like, I'm trying to keep you safe as a Black boy. Like I'm trying to keep you alive out here, which is what I like as the general consensus of how parenting usually goes within Black communities. Is I want my kid to stay alive as long as possible and have as good a life as possible. So though fear was used as a tactic, she definitely had a fear of me not being successful or even being able to feed myself by chasing my dreams at a young age. Mm-hmm. I initially did not want to go to college at all. I had no interest in going to higher learning. But I said, if I do go, like I will at least want to go for art or for sociology. And all my mom heard was my son about to be broke at 21 years old in a cardboard box somewhere on the street, panhandling. So like, you know what I mean? Squidward me. So she and my family taught me into going to school for IT, which is what I got my degree in, and I'm working now. And which is dope, which is cool. But I'm not passionate I'm not nearly as passionate about computers as I am about this activism work and this artwork. Um, and I think that's what usually happens with us. We think if we tell our kids to get a safe job,
Mm-hmm.
they'll stay alive. They get a, they get a degree, they get a good job, they get a house, they get a family forever and ever to the end. And what's wild is we're learning now with the economy the way it is, which is the economy is booming, but for rich people and for our generation, who are looking like the first generation to be brokered than our parents, because of this giant wealth gap that's been happening over the last 20 years, where the rich have been getting richer, but like as far as middle class and poor citizens, our wages have barely changed at all since for about 20 years now, I believe, if I remember that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So the price of things are going up, price of living is going up, but we're not making no more money. Most of us are broke out here. So that whole mindset of like getting a safe job has proven untrue for a lot of us. So yeah, that definitely, I will say I had to reconcile with that with her and myself. Like I did all these things to get this safe job and be safe and have a stable living, but like the market is not working in my favor. People that look like me in our favor right now. So I think we really do have to learn how to help our kids pursue their actual passions and dreams and support them in that. Because I feel like success looks different for everybody. I think America teaches you that there's an American dream, quote unquote, where everyone's success looks similar, but success, especially for Black people, just can look completely different from me versus you. And we really got to help our kids. We really got to support our kids in pursuing their actual passions versus something that they don't have any desire to do and might end up miserable at, but have safety, quote unquote, which is not even a real thing.
Exactly. And I think one thing that, as a whole, Black people can benefit from in teaching their kids is entrepreneurship, teaching them financial literacy. Even if they don't become an entrepreneur, having that business sense helps you understand how the world works, so that you don't become so emotional and you're not just out here protesting. Protesting is great, but if we're going to move forward, when we think about the civil rights era, Martin and Malcolm, the things that they really fought for was building systems economically for us to be able to thrive independently. So it starts with having that mindset first of like financial literacy, being able, like you were saying, having the ability to chase your goals and your dreams, instead of looking at it from a fear perspective, looking at it from, okay, this is what you love. How do we make money from this?
Right. How do you make your way of make your life as we have a program called Making Your Life as an Artist. How do you make your life as whatever you want to do? That takes a community to do that, and we're gonna talk about community because I got an issue with the phrase Black community in general, but we'll touch on that. But like how do you build a circle of people to help this person pursue what they want to do for a living and actually succeed at it? Versus just saying, just fall in line like the rest of us, get a regular smuggler job that's quote unquote safe, and just fall in line and put your dreams on the back burner. Because that's what my mom told me is like, get your IT degree and get your job, and then you can do your little art stuff on the side. Let's start the art stuff on the side, mama. That's the main stuff. That's the stuff I need to be doing. That's the stuff that's gonna feed me every day. And the IT stuff becomes secondary.
Exactly. And with you having that, taking that path, how would you say financial literacy was taught in the household, whether it was taught directly or just indirectly through advice like go to school, get your degree in this and do this on the side, even though that's somewhat what you ended up doing. But you're doing so much more on the side with the art because that's what you're truly passionate for. And it's like, yes, I know there's good and bad. It's good because I can afford to do that because of following that advice. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like I would be so much further if I gave it my all and had support earlier, just looking at it from that space. So how did you learn to get to where you are now, to find that balance and learn financial literacy as far as, okay, I know if I want to do my shows over here, I got to save a certain amount of money and put things to the side and prioritize bills. How did that, was that talked about in your household? How was that conversation addressed?
What's wild is I really wasn't taught financial literacy growing up. I don't think my mom really knew it. She knew like make a lot of money, save a lot of money, and then buy a house and take care of your bills, and then use the extra money to have fun with. So she didn't she wasn't reckless with it. She didn't just tell me just throw my money out anything. But there was no talk of investing. There was no talk of, well, she kind of taught me about home ownership by buying her first house, and I saw her do it. But we didn't really have a whole lot of talks about how to buy a house. Um, I really didn't learn that in the household. I learned still learning financial literacy from my actual IT director, who was completely, ever since I first met him and he hired me, was completely upfront about wanting to retire sooner than later and how he's planning on doing so. And so we had talks about that. He put me onto this book called The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. You definitely look it up. You don't have to buy the book. You can go online if you just type in The Simple Path to Wealth. It's actually a whole blog that he originally wrote for his daughter, for her to learn how to build wealth.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't be broke. And the whole blog is free, 100% free. But if you want the book, you can buy the book. But it was originally started for his daughter. But in that is where I learned about like index funds, about how just buying and selling stocks is kind of like a get rich quick scheme, but it's not how you actually invest. That's not actually investing. All just the many facets of actually investing, and that helped me a lot as far as just like I said, learning how to build long-term wealth. As far as like navigating as an artist, which is the hardest thing in the world, trying to be an artist, entrepreneur, because a lot of people give you entrepreneurship talk, but they don't really talk to you as an artist. They talk to you, they talk to you like a potential business owner. I can't. I went to go get some advisement on how to start my business, and the lady gave me. She helped me out a lot. I'm not gonna act like she didn't, but she gave me a business plan example. She said you need to work on your business plan. I said cool. I need an example. She gave me a business plan for a dentist office, and it was like, read this. Like read this and do what they did. Look at what they did, and just model your template after that. And I was reading this, I was like, this is not me. Like, I ain't not only I'm not a dentist, but like, this is a very conventional, very system-based job. Me as an artist, like, it's hard enough telling people what I do for a living, let alone figuring out my prices, like the actual business plan, business strategies, business practices, what I do, what I don't do. Because that's the thing as an artist, people trying to get you to do it. You say you do one thing, then they get you in the building, they try to get you 1,000 other things. Versus the dentist, you're going to get your teeth cleaned or tooth pulled, and that's it. Artists, your job can go all over the place in a heartbeat, and you don't know if you're being paid properly, if at all, for what you're doing. So it was really hard. But I actually have another friend. His name's Andrew. He has an artist incubator called Artist U, who has helped me immensely as far as building my life as an artist. And I'm actually doing workshops on behalf of them now, teaching other artists the same way of how to manage your money, how to manage your time, how to make your artist statement, how to actually create your rates and stick to your rates, other ways you can be compensated, like A to B, like just how to just make your way as an artist. And it's very thorough. It asks some very tough questions for yourself. It takes you to some really like sitting down with yourself and examining like what you want to do, what can you do, what must you do, like as an artist though.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. That's the hardest thing that's been about this journey, is just something that path as an artist. So that's what I love doing that for other people now, is people have been so wonderful to help me as an artist to find my way and teach me financial literacy in that realm. And it's hard, but it's possible. So
yeah, and it's dope. It's dope that you're doing that, because I mean, especially those of us that want to get into creative careers, we're easily discouraged from it because nobody knows the blueprint behind it. Like that, the thing is that instead of discouraging that young king from being a rapper, listen to him. If he's good, and you can put the right resources behind him, and publishing makes a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know the game behind how the business side of it works, because they push the artistries so that the record labels can make the money. And it's like this is where we look at prototypes like Nipsey Hussle. This is where we look at prototypes like on the film side of it, Tariq Nasheed, who still to this day is an independent filmmaker, and his documentaries have topped the list of Amazon. So it's like there's a way you can do it on your own, just having that foundational knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, since we're on the topic of businesses and just talking about all of the resources that are now being allocated. Everybody wants to be down with black now.
Right.
Post 2020, we acted a fool. We screwed up some of their businesses. They had to clean up. No, they pissed this time. They serious. They said we got to do something. Let's put $1 billion aside to them. So with all of these billions of dollars, you got Goldman Sachs, you got the big companies that is investing and putting funds together for black-owned businesses. With these things in place, do you think the argument of reparations is still necessary?
I do. If America is serious about wanting to quote unquote end racism, or at least make amends for it, I feel like what gets missed in a lot of these conversations is race as we practice it today, as we know it today, is a complete social construct, and that is it was man-made by the colonial elite back before America was fully America. The whole concept of white and black is a whole complete fiction. Like it's a whole made-up thing, specifically made to give a marginal sense of privilege to like regular white people, quote unquote, and to take away privileges from those labeled black. And not only privileges, but take away the humanity of black people. So if you're saying that you want to make amends for that, because that's not even being talked about, but if you're saying you want to make amends and you want to do right by black people who have had time and time again our humanities taken away from us, time and time again they had any effort to actually build wealth or a significant change in our lives, universally speaking, anytime we've tried to do that, it's been stolen from us, from killing our revolutionaries to killing our actual businesses to killing our neighborhoods. If you actually want to do right by all that, then yeah, you would get reparations. But I don't think it's gonna happen. But if you're saying you want to do right by us, then yes, I think it's still necessary.
Definitely. We are gonna take a quick break, but we will be right back and we'll have more with Mike Murray in a minute. Y'all stay tuned.